the time has come for part 2 of the Raid story, aka that time I got exorcised. So, where we last left off, I had just left the psych ward, and this fucking preacher guy was tagging along, and I was like, who the fuck is you? And he's like, I be with God. And I was like, oh man, this is not good.
Yeah.
So anyway, turns out that this guy, I find out who this guy is. He's my former teacher's father and a youth minister to boot. Apparently he was also in the army, he tells me, formerly stationed in Germany. Something that I put into my mental banks because I'm an idiot that way. But anyway, he informs me that he was the one that called the cops and that he is very interested in keeping me away from the idea of suicide. And I'm like, dude, that wasn't going to happen. This has all been a big misunderstanding. But he is convinced that I am just misleading everybody because I truly want to kill myself. And I'm like, dude, trust me, if I wanted to kill myself, I'd be done. Fuck this life type of shit, you know? But he's not getting that. So I'm like, oh, man. See, here's the thing, though. I might have been a dumb piece of shit, but I wasn't a complete asshole towards people. I'm still not.
Except for that receptionist lady.
Except for that, dude, she sucked, bro. But the point is, if a person is nice to me, it's very hard for me to be an asshole to them. You know? It's especially hard for me to be an asshole to them. And all I could think of in the back of my head was this guy took the time out of his life. He doesn't know me. He should have no reason to care to me. He took time out of his life, in the middle of the night no less, to orchestrate this entire fiasco just to save my life. And that's all I could think of. Even though my life was not really at risk, that's all I could think of. This dude went out of his way to do something nice. So I'm like, fuck. I can't be an ass and be like, dude, fuck away from me, man. I can't do that. So I'm like, all right. So he insists that he should come by and visit me on a weekly basis to touch base with me and, you know, up my spirit and maybe pass me a little word of God type of thing, you know? And because I don't want to be this tremendous asshole and really I want him off my back at the moment, I say, all right, man, I'm cool with that. Can you fucking go now? Not like that, but basically that was the gist of it, right? And he's like, good, man. That's a deal. Shake on it. Like, man, he says. And I'm like, oh, man, he's one of them old school fucks. Fuck. So I go, yeah, thinking in the long run, I can avoid this guy. Turns out I can't.
Nope.
Because like fucking clockwork, every damn Sunday after that, he would show up. And he was persistent. He would not take no for an answer. Hey, man, I'm headed out right now. Do you think maybe we could postpone this till next Sunday? And he's like, oh, man, I'll wait for you. What the fuck? Sometimes I wouldn't open the door. Oh, man, he would wait outside. Yeah. He would wait until I came out. And shit, I know he was there, of course. But there's only so much you can wait inside before you're like, fuck, I got to go outside. So I'd come out pretending to be all sleepy and shit. I'm like, oh, hey, man, I didn't hear you. Come on in, I guess. This goes on for fucking weeks, man. And at first, I'm like, I can ride this out, you know. Eventually, I'll convince him that I'm cool and he'll let it go. But no, man, he's like all about me killing myself. He's like, this guy's going to kill himself to the max. And I'm like, oh, man, how can I convince this guy otherwise? The thing is with this dude is he's talking
like that too.
He's fucking boring as fuck too, man. And but in the meantime, I try to make the best of his time with me. So I hear, you know, okay, first, again, to repeat from the first video, I was very anti-God, anti-religion, anti-anything like that back in the day. So just anything he speaks about grates me. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to care about it. Nothing. Nathan. But that's all he talks about. And he's not even interesting about it. Now, don't get me wrong. Shit like that, Bible shit as I like to call it, interests me. It interests me strangely.
Yeah,
it always has. It's fascinating.
Not when it's boring.
But not when it's fucking boring. Yeah. And not when you're trying to shove God down my throat. You know? There's a difference, dude. I could listen to someone tell me about God and appreciate their effort and that they care enough. This guy was just like, shut the fuck up, dude. You're fucking boring my gourd out. He was not... I don't understand how anybody listened to his speeches. But anyway, I tried to steer the conversation away from, his rigmarole into something interesting. So I would ask him about stuff. Hey, man, how's the military life? And so that's how I got to find out little by little more and more about him. And I found out that, yes, in fact, he was stationed in Germany at one point. So he was kind of... he was kind of a little handy around the German language. And I found out, interestingly enough, to my tastes, that when he got into the ministry, he was very keen on the idea of exorcism. And I was like, oh, put that in my mental banks.
Yep.
So anyway, weeks and weeks go on, dude, and this fucking guy just keeps coming, and then there's no way to get rid of this dude. I try to get my mom to tell him, hey, don't drop by anymore. But he's like, he's going to do something. That's how it is. I'm convinced that he's going to do something. Please let me come back. And mom, again, is kind of like me. If somebody's being nice, they're kind of like, fuck it. Let's ride this out. So we just kind of ride it out a little bit more. And it just continues, man. So anyway, one Sunday, I know he's coming, but whatever. I'm like determined to not give a fuck at that point. And this Sunday, I don't know exactly what I was sculpting, but I was sculpting something, and it was like a face application thing. And if I remember correctly, yeah, it was. This means nothing to the viewer, but I know you remember I used to have pictures of my face with like a makeup, like a zombie makeup. Remember?
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. So I had these little blood capsules, and I would break them open and kind of fuck with the zombie makeup, and then I would take pictures of myself, and then eventually I posted them on.
And then whack it too.
Yeah, and eventually I posted them on MySpace and stuff because I was a loser like that.
Wow.
But anyway, that's what I was doing. And I had already taken off the makeup and taken the pictures and what have you. And I had a few blood capsules in my pants. And I was getting ready to watch a movie. And I can't remember what, but I remember I was excited. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to sit back and watch a movie. When I recalled, oh, fuck, that dude's probably going to show up. Sure enough, I'm like 30 minutes into this bitch. And this fucking dude knocks. And I'm like, my life reeks. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to straight up tell this dude to leave. I'm tired. I'm done with this bullshit. It's over. I'm fucking done. So I open it, and he's like, hey, and he's so fucking nice that I'm like, damn it. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm just going to tell him I got a little bit of time, and that's it. So I do. I tell him, hey, man, I only got like 30 or so minutes. You think we can make this brief? And he says yes. And in my mind, I'm like, hell yeah. He actually agreed to something brief. This is going to work out. Get him out of here and that'll be done. Oh, no. He just keeps on chattering, and 30 minutes have passed, and I'm like, all right, this dude needs to get winding down. So I tell him, like 40 minutes passed, and I'm like, hey, I got to get going, so, can we do this some other time?
We'll wrap that shit up.
And he's like, sure. He said sure, and I should have just gone this route, dude. But I let my pride get the best of me. He goes, sure. Let's share a prayer, yeah? Now you gotta remember, back in that day, I was like, fuck this.
You weren't about that life.
Yeah. So I'm like, nah, yeah, go ahead and pray.
Yep.
And then he's like, no, I want you to get down on your knees with me, because he was one of those dudes.
Yeah.
Real, charismatic about his approach to prayer. Even now that I'm more spiritual, I don't do that charismatic scream to the heavens shit. I just, it feels disingenuous to me. Not that I'm calling his spirituality into question. It's not my bag. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Even now. But back then I was like, fuck that bag. I want to burn it. But anyway, he's like, yeah, come on, join me. Get down on my knees. And he gets down on his knees. And I'm like, no, I'm good, man. Just go ahead and do your thing. And I'll listen in. And maybe I'll even toss you an amen at the end of that bad boy. And
that was your final offer.
Yeah, it really was. I was like, no, I'm good, man. And he is so fucking insistent that I'm like getting pissed. Visibly pissed. And it takes a lot to piss me off, but this was pissing me off. Like, dude, I drew this line in the fucking sand, and you, as who you are, should know better type of piss, you know? So, he insists, of course, because that's how it goes. And I'm like, dude, I already told you I'm not going to do it. And he gets up and he goes, that's the devil stopping you from doing it. And I'm like, no, that's me saying I don't want to fucking do it like that. Just do your thing. Let's finish this bitch off, right? And that was like his cue. He went from like 0 to 60 in 1 trillisecond, because he was like, he immediately, dude, like a switch went off on his fucking head. He puts his hand on my fucking dome, and he starts like fucking praying out loud and exclaiming to the heavens that the devil be banished from me and all this shit. And I'm like, what the? And he's like in a fucking zone, dude.
Yeah.
And he's like, get down on your knees, devil, and this and that. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then it clicks in my head.
Oh, no.
It clicks in my fucking head.
It's a little painful to listen to, so I'm not gonna lie.
It's fucking bad, dude.
Yeah, it's not good.
It clicks in my head because, you know, I'm keen to movies. I love movies. I'm a big horror fan. Always have been. And, of course, I was a rampaging moron at the time. So in my head, I'm like, I'm going to get rid of this guy forever. He's never coming back. And really, if you think about it,
it doesn't make any sense.
As weird as this approach was, it was really passive, because all I had to do was say, get the fuck out of my house. I don't want you back here. But I was so passive that I decided to go this extreme route.
Yep, which again makes no sense.
So, but see, you'd think it doesn't make sense, but this guy was sold on it. And considering how I'd interacted with him and the stories he told and shit, it made sense that it made sense to him in the long run. Because he was about, and I've met people like that since ever getting more spiritual, that they're just convinced of certain things so much that logic does not enter their mind anymore. And this guy was that guy, because he is now convinced that the devil is stopping me from praying, and it's not my choice that I don't want to, and that he is going to run the devil from you. So I decide to humor him. And I play up the old Regan card.
Yep.
And I start giving him what he wants. I give him a little show. Start speaking in tongues.
Yep.
You know, in fact, let me see if I can find it here real quick. Here we go.
It's good. That's a good period. There you go.
I had this in my collection of books. I've had it for a long time. And it's one of the seminal works on exorcism and possession. And it's one of my favorite reads. So I start saying shit to him in Latin. Exorcisas te immundissime spiritus omne legio omne phantasma nomine Domini Jesu Christi. Amen. But I'm saying it like in a cinematic demon-possessed voice, right? And given his history, I know he knows that at the very least I'm speaking Latin. I don't know if he knows the Roman ritual because he wasn't a Catholic, but I very least knows. And you could see like the fear in his face, like what the fuck, you know? Like he was actually reacting to this, and I'm like, oh, now in my stupid fucking young idiot mind, I'm like kind of excited about this. Like, fuck, I got this guy by the nuts here.
In reality, you're destroying his entire life. So
yeah, really, in retrospect, I was a fucking complete dick. Yeah. But at the time, all I was thinking was, I can get rid of this fucker, and that's it. No more lame visits. So I start doing that, and then, of course, I go into the back of my head, and I'm like, wait a minute, he was stationed in Germany. He bound to know some German. I had taken German class, so I start spewing some German, and just the mix of all that, and what I was saying, and the way I was acting, he's like sold on it. And he gets his Bible out and he starts doing his thing. He had this I forget what they call it, man. It's little oil vials to bless with. He had some of that, and he kept on smearing it on my fucking forehead, and I'm doing my best writhing job, you know, fucking John Carpenter's A Thing shit going on. And I'm playing it up, dude. But then I realized this guy is not going to leave even now.
This is exactly what I said. It doesn't make sense. Why would you play into that when he's already...
I realize he's not going to leave until he sees the results that he wants. And I'm like, how the fuck am I going to sell that?
Yep.
This is not good. And then, as I'm writhing on the floor...
I was about to say, there's a point where... we'll just say it.
Yeah, I'm writhing on the fucking floor trying to sell my best fucking Reagan McNeil, writhing and spewing, and I'm fucking spitting and shit. It pops into my head. Holy shit, I got the blood pills in my pants. So I'm like, I gotta get the blood pills in my mouth, and it's gonna be the selling point here. So it just so happens that my mother, she later told me, she'd been over there because she lives next door to where I live. She'd been over there going, hey, this guy's spending an awfully long time over there.
Yep.
I'm going to go check on him.
No, she doesn't go check
on
him.
That's right. My grandmother.
No. She sends me.
That was you.
Yep.
Yeah.
She goes, go check on this shit.
So go ahead.
So I go. It's worthy to note that we weren't really close. Well, we were, but it was
the beginning of our friendship.
We wouldn't spend a lot of time together, but it was starting. Anyway, I come over there, open the door, and the old priest man standing above your corpse, it looks like, and you're freaking writhing on the floor. And I'm like, I just walk in, and he's like, get out. I'm like, all right. And I just leave. And I don't tell Mom anything. For some reason in my head, this wasn't weird, by the way. I was just like, it's just Ahab being an idiot, right? And, I don't know, like maybe 30, 40 minutes later, she asked me, like, well, what happened? I'm like, he was on the ground writhing. And I tried to describe...
Some old-fashioned writhing.
Yeah, I was trying to explain what was happening. And when I told her, she got freaking furious, dude. And this is where your
now I gotta ask, was she furious at the very idea and me and what?
It was I don't know, honestly, I don't know. She was pissed. I think she was pissed at him.
Yeah, I think so because I'll tell you when I get there. But anyway, so that happens.
Point is, I walk in and you're writhing on the floor, and I'm just like, all right.
When he walks in and the distraction is provided, that's when I popped in the pills to my mouth. So when the the preacher turns back to me and goes back at his work, that's when I do my best Undertaker, try to get up, you know. And since I'm fat as fuck, I'm pretty sure it added to the weird look of it. Yeah. So I get up and I'm kind of like on my knees, sort of, and then I start stumbling for it. And I do my best Evil Deadite, you know, stumbling around and shit. And I bite into them bad boys, and I'm spewing out obscenities and horrible things from my mouth, and blood starts pouring out. And this dude was like, what the fuck? And, God forgive me, but, I was saying bad things, bad things about Jesus and God and all that shit. And it was appalling him because nothing that he would say would stop me, which I guess is what he expected. And or if he told the truth about I'm sure in his mind, of course, he was telling the truth, but about his former experience, that would have been the stopping point. And whether you believe in the spiritual or in the psychological, it usually is for people. On the psychological aspect, it provides a stopping point. Like, hey, this is what psychologically I think will defeat this thing in me. Versus the spiritual, which, naturally it would. But whatever it is, he's not getting the feedback that he's expecting. And I'm just coming at him fucking Sam Raimi to the max. Spewing blood and shit.
Popping and locking.
And we make it all the way up to my front door. Now, just on that note, I have a forearm tattoo, and I had just gotten part of it done. So it was fresh and kind of painful. Mm-hmm. So just keep that in mind. So I'm coming up towards him. He's backing out towards the door. Just then the door opens, and my mom busts in.
Yep.
And she's like, what the hell's going on?
Yep.
And he turns to her.
By the way, she was. I just want to add, she was pissed at me for not saying anything for like 40 minutes. And I'm sure you were like, serious?
Yeah, I was like, shit. Yeah. But anyway, she's like, what the hell's going on? And he tells her, stay away. I'll take care of this. Blah 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 blah. And she's like, you need to leave right now. And while he's looking at her, he's holding up a crucifix. Mind you, I'm not talking like some fucking Van Helsing crucifix. It was like a little crucifix that he had around his neck. But he's holding up a crucifix towards me, looking at her, and I make eye contact with her, and I go from fucking like fucking mouth of madness to like normal me, and I'm like, telling him to get him out of here, signing to get him out of here. So she already knows me. Yeah. And she's like, fuck this. So she gets even more pissed. And she's like, you need to leave right now. This and this and that. And he's like, no, you don't understand. He's going to do something to everyone. This is the way it works. I know how to take care of this. He was thinking
like the Kandarian demon was coming out.
Yeah. He was like, fuck, this is World War III with dumbass fat demon. Yeah. But anyway, she persists. And every time he turns back, I go back into fucking frothing at the mouth and shit, and I step towards him, and I don't even know what I said, but whatever I said, as I make my little retard move up to him, he grabs my forearm. Dude, he grabs it so hard, and the tattoo's so fresh. I almost beat myself. That fucking shit hurt so bad that I let out a ear-piercing wail of unholy proportions that I'm sure sold it to the max to this guy. He was like, "What?" Because I was like, "Ah, touch that!" So I bat him away. Urinate. I bat him away with unprecedented fucking tard strength. And that's when Mom says, "You need to get the fuck out," blah blah blah. And he's like, "Oh, please, please, please," and she leads him out. And he stays outside for quite a while. And Mom comes back in, and she's like, "What the hell, man? What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, don't worry, this is fake blood." And she's like, "Well, I know that, but what the hell are you doing?" So I'm like, "I'll tell you right now." So not even like 10 minutes. I take a shower, I go over, and me and her go to a burger joint, sit down. And I'm telling her the story, and she's literally laughing at the hijinks.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, I remember going to the old Whataburger. Yeah. Afterwards.
And it was just, like, to think back on it now, I want to say, it is cringy, but at the same time, I'm shocked, and at the same time, I'm not, that any of this shit affected this dude. That really speaks to his faith. But
little do you know that since then he's become a drunk, has left God, and is now like a hobo in the streets. Yeah, because he destroyed his entire belief system.
And he committed suicide.
Yeah, he did.
No, as far as I know, that didn't happen, thankfully. But then again, it could have, because I didn't really keep in touch with the guy because he was boring as fuck.
So the moral of the story is boring.
The moral of the story is, if you're a fucking preacher, boring is not the way to go. But yeah, man, as funny as that story is to me, at the same time, I kind of feel a lot of regret for it because, the guy's intentions were good. But it is a worthy tale to tell, as it is pretty fucking strange and out of this...
I do find it odd that I was, like, completely unfazed by this and just went back seeing cartoons.
Because you were used to me fucking with you, too. Yeah. Because I used to love to fuck with you by... pretending that my hand was possessed, Evil Dead 2 style. Yeah. And it would terrify you to the point where you just got used to it.
This was around the time where I was like, I get what he's doing. Yeah. Went over there, he's like, I guess he's Evil Dead 2ing again.
It was like a fucking verb. Yeah. He's just Evil Dead 2ing over there.
I remember I don't remember what I was watching, but I was in my room watching freaking cartoons in Spanish. Mom walks in and she's like, "Oh, what was happening?" I'm like, "Oh, he was just on the ground spasming out or something," in Spanish, all this in Spanish. And she's like, "What? Why?" He's like, "I don't know." The guy was like over him with a Bible. He freaking furiously screamed at me and then went to the freaking thing. And then all that happened. They went to Whataburger, ate some beef.
So, if you're possessed, you might get some Whataburger.
Yep.
That's the fucking moral.
Yeah, it really is.
Anyway, that was the story of how I got possessed after I was raided and went to the psych ward. So that's a thing that happened.
Yep.
Anyway, this has been Ahab and the Goon Tick with another fucked up story time. Hit like, share, subscribe. Hit those notifications for more story times, movie talks, and all that crazy shit we like to do. Because for now, we're out.